Hi, it's Ileana, and today I'm going to be discussing a topic of the Ancient Space Ark Ships and the connections that they have to Peru and the ancient Hall of Records. So I've been writing a two-part volume book set called Star Travelers: Life Experiences with UFOs, ETs, SSPs, and past lifetimes, which I have just published on Amazon. So in these book volume sets, I discuss my life experiences as extraterrestrial galactic beings having connections with the space ark ships. And this is actually part of the reason why I was taken into the SSP, into planetary corporations on Mars, from what I discovered, writing about this extensively as I was looking back through my hypnosis notes, self-hypnosis and hypnosis done with other professionals. I have a lot of information about crystalline systems and how they work on these ancient space ark ships. I've also had sessions that I have done, hypnosis sessions and psychic readings for clients who've had experiences on those ancient ark ships, like Ileana. That's an ancient space ark ship. It's also a probe. And I had gone onto it in 2017 as a mission in the secret space program, where I had actually seen that there's stasis beings in stasis traveling to a planet. So, and these beings are still alive, and there's data banks of DNA stored of seeding other planets. And that's what Ileana is designed to do. And there's many, many ark ships like it in the solar systems. Arcturians had created them, Andromedans had created them, Pleiadians had created them, the Elohim had created them. The L race has ark ships that they're traveling on, and they're 12th dimensional beings. So they can create anything environmentally out of energy. So they have their own ark ships, the Akashan and the Anishan, which I've been on. So this is what I've been writing about in my new books. What these ark ships look like. They're also in Antarctica because the Atlanteans, they were one of the founding civilizations. They came in their own ark ships to Earth about 2 million years ago when they created Atlantis. So there's a lot of galactic beings that had participated in the experiment of Atlantis. Some of them are called the Seeders, some of them are called the Creators, the Guardians, the Star Travelers, whatever you want to call them. They all participated in this 22-24 stranded DNA frequency adaptation of certain star seeds who are here on Earth, and they're connected to these ancient ark ships. I know about what was built in Antarctica. I found shipbuilding facilities with ancient ark ships in different circular cities and outposts that the Atlanteans had left throughout their epochs of their civilization. And a lot of them were galactic beings participating in this new vibrational experiment on Earth about 2 million years ago. And Atlantis had different stages of its existence in Antarctica, Brazil, Peru, Mexico, and other places in the Pacific Northwest as well. So my book is about that, the SSP stuff. The SSP, actually, Planetary Corp, they wanted to examine my memories of these ancient ark ships and how the crystalline technology works to reverse engineer it for themselves. This is what I found out as partially the reason why they took me to the SSP on Mars, and a lot of other reasons that are in my books. So I've just been working on finishing the books, publishing them, doing my artwork of what the Akashan looks like. And some of these ark ships are circular, some of them are triangular. They have long, elongated shapes. They're not all circular saucers. Some of them are very different shapes, depending on the galactic beings that built them. So some of them are cigar shaped. That's a classical shape for some of these ancient space ark ships. And they're all being activated. That is true information. They're being activated in Brazil, Peru, Egypt. The Covenant Ark ships are actually under Egypt. And that's a remote viewing project that I had done. And these are a little different. And there's the Atlantean ancient ark ships in Antarctica, where the Atlantean outposts are. And I've mapped these things out. They're on maps in the books. And some of these ancient ark ships are on Mars, here on Earth, Venus, Saturn, Mercury, Neptune, and they're all being activated. That's true. As we, the starseeds, we're remembering our galactic heritage, and some of us are actually going to these space ark ships and remembering our history. So some people have had visits, from what I understand. I personally have examined the ark ships in Antarctica, the Atlantean ones, under the ice sheets. And that's all mapped where these outposts are. Those are the ones that I had seen in the shipbuilding facilities. So, and there's news reports of Antarctica heating up, the ice sheets melting. There's news reports that Neptune is experiencing higher temperatures in certain parts of the Earth, and Mars are warming up as well. And that's where these ark ships are. And there's evidence around the ark ships of ancient civilizations. Those were part of Atlantis and other civilizations like Lemuria, Mu, the Meldakian civilizations, the Meldakian tunnel systems. Those are under Romania. That's where the Romanian Sphinx is. That's Meldakian technology, their holographic technology. There's portal systems and portals in Baghdad, Iraq. There's holographic technology under the Gobi Desert. Those are places I've remote viewed, and it's in my books that I've been connecting. The Meldakian tunnel systems are also under Amaro Moro, which is a Stargate portal in Peru. And there's a huge door carved into the mountainside beside Lake Titicaca in Peru, and it has a keyhole. So under that Stargate is the Meldakian tunnel systems, where the golden disk is kept, the golden disk of Mu, the sun disk of Mu. So I had actually gone there, astral traveling, and then bilocating physically under Amaro Moro. And there's a Stargate system with wormhole technology that takes you to an Andromedan double-deckered space station where time moves faster in the Andromedan galaxy. So I've had interesting experiences with these ark ships, with Peru, with golden sun disks, and it's all linked as well. What's in Baghdad, Iraq, the Stargates, and some of them are being studied, and some of them have even been taken out of Iraq. And these portal systems don't work if you separate them. There's 11 of them. And there's holographic technology on Venus, where there's these beautiful golden green discs, holographic discs made of crystalline technology and precious metals that can tell you world histories, information about different species of animals, different beings, life forms, planetary systems, star map locations, star charts. The descendant of the ancient builder race, her name is Anea. She's L race, 12th dimensional. She took me to Venus. And I wrote about that as well and what I saw in Venus. So I've had interesting experiences where she's shown me crystalline technology and holographic healing technology on the Akashen and the Anishen, the Ark ships. So this is all this information is in my 2 new books, and I'm including the links to them. If anybody's interested or curious, it'll be in the video description below. But today I want to talk about a book called Secret of the Andes and the Golden Sun Disk of Mu by Brother Phillip. So this is a phenomenal book. And it talks about the L race and who they were and what they did on Earth. And this book is about the Andes. So this is about Peru. It's a beautiful book. And it shows the connections of the L race. This is the only book that talks about the L race, or the elder race as they're called. So this book is very important. It's the only source where I could find any information about the L race other than me meeting the L race and having my ET contacts with them, which was in the early 2000s. So I'm going to read part of the information about the L race from this book. It's by Brother Phillip. He actually went into the Andes and he found some of these places that he talks about in the information about the L race. So I'm going to discuss this and what the elder race is. And the L race, or as the elder race as they're called, they are the descendants of the ancient builder races, which are also cedar races who created these ancient ark ships and the civilization cities around these ark ships that existed. And there's the Hall of Records, the Egyptian Hall of Records in Egypt. That one is an Atlantean Hall of Records in the Egypt. It's under the Sphinx, under the paw, deep in the tunnel systems. And the reason why I know about that one is because I had a past life as an architect / priest named Calypso, almost 100,000 years ago in Egypt when these pyramids were built. They're older than 10,000 years. So I had actually created the Egyptian Atlantean Hall of Records, and I hid it under the Egyptian pyramids and the paw, the Sphinx of the paw. So, and that ancient Hall of Records is really protected by tunnel systems in different chambers, different rooms. So it's like a puzzle box to even get to it. So not just anyone can access it. There's also the Hall of Records under Amaro Moro in Peru. There's the Romanian Sphinx. That's another Hall of Records. Also there's another one in basically Tibet, under Tibet, and also in the Mayan lands. And these halls of records, they have holographic technology stored there, something like the Golden Sun Disk of Mu, the crystal skulls, which can change planetary alignments, which can save planets from destruction. That's what the Golden Sun Disk of Mu does, and the crystal skulls. There's 13 crystal skulls. So that's all true. And this is ancient Atlantean technology and other civilizations that were galactic, that were here millions of years ago. Their technology still exists on this planet and other planets like Mars, Venus, Mercury, Neptune. So the secret space programs know about this technology, and some scientists know about it, and experiencers who have the 2224 coded DNA frequency have been having access to the Ark ships. So my heritage is of the L race, Andromedan Pleiadian, and so I've been on Ark ships. the L race Ark ships, the two ones, the world ships. That's my connection, and also having Atlantean past lives, being on Ark ships that they built in Antarctica, where the Atlantean outposts still are. Some of them are under the ice sheets. And there's also this portal system in the South Pole near Antarctica, near McMurdo Station. So this is what I discuss in the books. And I just want to share the connection with Peru about the elder race, the L race. So this is what Brother Phillip writes. If we are really to understand the meaning behind the brotherhood of the seven rays and the golden sun disk of Mu, we must go back in time on Earth to 1 billion years ago. So the L race had been here 1 billion years ago. And Atlantis was created 2 million years ago. After the Earth planet had cooled and was ready for inhabitants, a race arrived from out of space that was not human. So the descendants of the ancient builder race, the L's, they're 12th dimensional beings and higher dimensionally. There's more than 24 dimensions. It goes much higher than that. So they weren't human, but it was one of the race of the original true man. They were called Cyclopeans or giants. These beings were big and are known in the secret arcane knowledge as the L race, or simply the L's, E-L-S. Before coming to the planet Earth, they traversed space following all the great cycles of time. They were titans who rode the starways. So they're almost like the sleeping giants. They could be the descendants of the sleeping giants in these ancient space Ark ships. And they still do in another dimension of time and space. And they sought always the best pastures of space for their flock. Now, this is written by Brother Phillip. So he uses interesting language, historical language. They were the first life upon the earth and are the immortals of our legends, the God race or elder race that preceded man. Perhaps they even were the Elohim. Some of the L's were true Cyclops in that they had only one great central eye in the middle of their forehead. Others had two eyes like human beings. So some of these L race beings are hybrids. So that's why they could have looked different. And still others had the development of the psychic third eye. They were about 12 feet tall and were male and female, but not as we think of sex differentiation today. So the L race beings, they're able to take on different forms of existence. They can live in light bodies, they can live in corporeal bodies, they can energetically create anything that they want. They are, in a sense, immortal from what I experienced on their ships. So they go from 12th dimension and higher. Before coming to Earth, they had colonized much of what is known today as the Milky Way galaxy. Thousands of suns and worlds came under their influence. So the Ark ships are ancient knowledge repositories, library repositories with crystalline technology that holds information about planetary histories, how the universes were created. We are living in the known universe, but there's other universes. Again, they have seed banks with DNA of different life forms to seed on planets, different types of galactic species, plant life, animals. So these beings had been seeding life on other planets, the L race. So that is why it says that they had colonized much of what is known today as the Milky Way galaxy. Thousands of suns and worlds came under their influence. They usually preceded other life forms to a world after it was ready for habitation. Once they took up existence on a new planet, They attempted to leave behind what we can only call great libraries in their deep underground empire of the enormous cities. So this book says that they had left behind great libraries in their deep underground empire of enormous cities. And these beings had ancient ark ships that could travel in space, that they had landed on Earth in. But eventually they evolved to the point where they didn't need ark ships. They left them here on Earth and other planets because they evolved beyond time and space dimensionally, going 12D and higher. So they don't really need ships, but they can create bio-living ships that are ark ships based on crystalline technologies and systems. In these libraries, tiny crystal records contain the history of the universe and are enclosed in a magnetic field, which at times finds an affinity with some sensitive person living on the Earth today. This is the connection between the 22 and 24 stranded DNA that is evolving in some of the starseeds that are visiting these ancient space ark ships. Brother Phillip knew about this a very long time ago and wrote about it because he had an experience with the L race. He lived in Peru for almost his whole lifetime. The L's were not exactly three-dimensional beings as we are today, although they were definitely physical creatures in a physical world at the time. They had been attempting for countless ages as a race to achieve a timeless condition, that is, to reach a place where they could not only create by mere thought, but escape from the chains of physical existence, to break the ties that bound them to physical planets and systems. They were literally trying to reach ascension. They were searching for the great secret that would make them immortals, that they might march across time and the stars, fettered by nothing. So they were seeking to be pure energy beings with light bodies. I think that is what he is describing here. The Earth planet was possibly the last world they had colonized in the Milky Way galaxy, for soon after their arrival here, they achieved the power of creative thought to manifest and go beyond the physical body into their light bodies. They conquered physical matter and became gods. They annihilated time and space. No longer did they have need of the Earth world or the great galaxy that it belonged to. They were free. They had become true members of the thought universe, the theta universe. Actually, the L's were not known by that name until they had achieved this theta condition of going into the light bodies in the 12th dimension and beyond. Before this, they were known as the Cyclopean race or the Great Elder race. It was their method of leaving physical existence and conditions that gave them the name of L's, E-L-S, L's, the ancient builder race descendants. The L's, the Elohim. Through the secret use of the 90-degree phase shift, they abandoned the Earth and the entire galaxy and left it vacant for humanity, for Neanderthals, Homo sapiens, sapiens. We are part of the Atlantean experiment. And the descendants of the ancient builder race, the L's, they left many of these space ark ships on Earth and other planets. This is their heritage that's being discovered today. A 90-degree angle forms the letter L. Therefore, when we call them L's, we are referring to a symbol of their race and not really to a name. Many words today have been derived from the name of this most ancient race. That is why they are called the elder race. The words elevation and eliminate are clearly from this source. Did not the elves elevate to another dimensional condition? Did they not eliminate time and space? They went beyond time and space. They went into the energies and the frequencies of the light body, the rainbow body bridge. If you will but look in any dictionary, you will discover some astounding things among the words that start with L, EL, or L and L. So the words that start with EL and L. So my name is Elka, Elka, Elka. My soul name is Ileana. This part of the L race. My soul is part of the L race because I've had lifetimes with the L race. Then there is the magnificent word Elohim, the creators of many of the Ark ships. Noah's Ark, it was an Elohim Ark ship. It wasn't a wooden boat. It was a metallic Ark ship that saved the human beings living at that time from basically from a huge diluvian accident. That wasn't really an accident. It was literally flooding everywhere on the planet that was created by negative beings trying to destroy these experiments of the humans that the Atlanteans had started a long time ago. So the Elohim had gathered the humans, the animals, and the plant life, and they put a lot of the DNA samples as well on these Ark ships and saved them. So Noah's Ark is something quite different from what people think it is. It's not wooden boats. It's not exactly what the Bible describes. The Bible sort of describes it as what it is, except it was UFOs, UAPs, Ark ships. This is what we know in the modern day for them to be. The Elohim had saved these beings, the ancient humans, from this diluvian destruction of the world flooding so that we could continue to evolve. Once the flooding was over, we were returned back on Earth to continue our evolution. And the 24 elders of Holy Scripture, 24 stranded DNA, 24 elders of Holy Scripture. Not coincidental. So it's quite interesting. On April 24th, 1955, Kut Humi, Lao Singh, Master Kathumi, reported, over the planet stands the great presence of the beloved Elohim, Cyclopia. His radiance covers the entire earth. Master Kathumi is obviously referring to a member of the great elder race. Although in 1956, most of the elves were no longer on Earth, they still acted as mentors and were usually the teachers of the Earth's masters or saints. We say most of the elves were no longer on our planet because some of them did not leave when their race achieved the theta condition and conquered MEST, M-E-S-T, matter, energy, space-time. Because of certain karmic reactions, a few members of the Cyclopean race did not pass through the 90-degree phase shift and were forced to remain on Earth to work out their destiny, eventually to rejoin their race in a later age. In the meantime, they would act as mentors to human beings when the latter arrived on Earth. Amara Muru, God Muru, was a member of the Cyclopean race. He has retained the same physical form for untold ages, renewing his life stream energy by polarization with his feminine aspect. Aramaya Mara, Arama Mara, correctly pronounced, Arama Mara. For as already stated, these beings do not reproduce as a human does. Lord Muru says this, that when he was on Lemuria, he was a young student or man. However, he can mean many things by this. Perhaps he means young and things universal, and by man, he can mean that he is of the race of original true man. Many of the wise men of Lemuria and earlier in Mu itself were Cyclops. And part of Mu and Lemuria is what is now called Peru, Lake Titicaca. We do not call them L's because they had not yet achieved the Theta universe. All of these Cyclops left Lemuria and journeyed to other parts of the world. Therefore, many of the spiritual heads of mystery schools' inner retreats, like in Peru, Mount Shasta, Inner Earth, Tibet, Egypt, or Cyclops, who would one day rejoin their elder race and become true elves. And so the golden sun disk of Mu is connected to the El race in Peru and these ancient ark ships and the halls of records in Egypt, Peru, Mayan lands, Tibet, Inner Earth. This is all interconnected between these ancient library repositories that are the halls of records. These halls of records literally hold Atlantean history, how the universe was created, how planetary bodies were created, how these civilizations helped to create us. Also, advanced technologies, holographic technologies, like the refractory ruby telescopes that can unmask planets that are cloaked with different types of bases on them, like on Jupiter, Ganymede, Mars. Many extraterrestrials have bases and space stations that are cloaked, including planetary corporations and other SSB factions. So there's a lot of advanced technologies and healing technologies in these halls of records, along with the crystalline technologies and the discs that hold planetary histories and information about the different beings and animals that had been created from different star systems. They had been hybridized. A lot of that is on Venus and Mars and on Earth and in Peru. So I just wanted to share some of this information and the connection between the L race, the ancient builder races, the Cedars, and how they're connected to these ancient space ark ships in Peru. I highly recommend this book. Secrets of the Andes by Brother Phillip. So Secret of the Andes by Brother Phillip. This guy knew a lot of information, and he had actually lived in Peru and been part of the mystery schools. So again, like I had a lot of information that I was accessing about the L race and visiting them on their ships, but I could never really find any information about any of them. This is the only book that actually has decent information about the L race, about the Brotherhood, Amaramuru, and the Golden Sun Disk of Mu. So, you know, there is information, there's hidden ancient information in some books that have to do with the mystery schools. And Secret of the Andes and the Golden Sun Disk of Mu by Brother Phillip is one of these books. And this book has a lot of good information. It talks about the Serpent Brotherhood, about the Brotherhood of Amaramuru and Mu. Talks about ancient history, and this is a great book. I highly recommend it. And it's the only book that I can find that talks about the elder race, the ancient builder race, the elves. And this book is big, so I would, if you are going to get it in print, I would highly recommend having some bookshelf space, because this book is 8.5 by 11 or even bigger. It's in the same format that I write my books. And I enjoy being able to touch something tactile. That really is great to flip through the pages. So I highly recommend this book. And it was published a long time ago. I just want to see when it was published, if it has a publication date. This book is rare. I couldn't even find it anywhere in PDF. Oh, it was republished in 2008, but it was written way before that. And it's a great book on ancient history. And if you want to learn more on Lemuria, Mu, the Golden Sun Disk of Mu, the L race, and some of the ancient mystery school teachings from Peru, this book I highly recommend. This is one of the best books that I've read on these subjects. So I just wanted to discuss these connections and my connections with the L race and the Ancient Space Ark Ships. Because again, I've had lifetimes as Andromedans, Pleiadians. I have connections to the Arcturians, and I have soul family connections to the L race because I've been on their space ark ships, their world traveling ships, biological, bio-living ships that are crystalline based. So the Akashen and the Anishen. So it's just bringing all of this information together and connecting the dots is so important, because we are reconnecting with our galactic heritage and our true universal history of who we are as galactic beings and where we come from in the universe. So I just find that we're coming full circle, and it's time to share this information. This is the time of the awakening, of the ascension process. And we're coming together to learn about this stuff together. So thank you so much, and namaste.